Sleep and nutrition, two areas that are vital to living a healthy life, and yet they're also areas that we could use some help. Hi, I'm Robin Stoloff, and welcome to Living Well with Robin Stoloff, empowering you to live a healthier life. We have a great guest with us today. Tricia Silverman is a dietitian, registered dietitian, fitness instructor, and wellness coach. Thanks so much for joining us, Tricia.
Thank you for having me. This is very exciting to be here.
Oh, yes. And we met at an online conference because the world is online right now. And I just thought you were so fabulous that I wanted to invite you to my podcast. So thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I want to read the rest of your bio really quickly. International virtual and live presenter. You specialize in creating and delivering exciting and engaging group wellness programs. I was in one, and I can vouch for that. She is the author of the award-winning international Amazon bestseller, Healthy Dividends, Investments in Nutrition, Movement, and Healthy Habits That Pay Off. We like that. And she developed the SCW Nutrition for Active Aging certification, which she has led across the U.S. And you also teach nutrition, entrepreneurship, and healthy aging for Northeastern University. Wow, that's a lot. You're busy. You're busy. And most of it's online, right?
Most of it is online. I think, actually, all of it is online now.
Yes, that's where our world is right now. But let's talk a little bit about sleep and nutrition. That's two areas that are very important to our lives, and yet so many people really need help with both of those things. So how are they interrelated?
Well, one of the huge ways they're related is through your weight. So sleep can have a huge impact on your weight and also on your blood glucose regulation. It's one of the things I find that doctors don't really have the time to go into everything when you have diabetes, for instance.
Yes.
And one of the things that can help with your blood sugar regulation is getting enough sleep. If you don't get enough sleep, it can really throw things off, and it can drive up your cravings. And then if you add stress to that, your cravings can really go up and out of whack. And sometimes people wonder, what's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong. It may just be you're not getting enough sleep, and maybe you're a little too stressed. So if you work on your nutrition and then work on getting to sleep and think about reducing your stress, it can have a huge impact on your hormones, and it can make you just feel so much better.
Easier said than done for a lot of people right now. Many people have trouble sleeping, and they also, have challenges with their eating plan. I hate the word diet because everyone diet, that's such a word, but their eating plan. I like to call it an eating plan because we have a plan for a lot of things in our life, and I like to call it eating plan. And you mentioned hormones. Talk to me a little bit about, is it ghrelin and leptin? Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Yes. So what sleep deprivation can do is increase ghrelin, and that's your hunger hormone, so you can feel more hungry. There was a study out of the University of Chicago that deprived men of their sleep, and when they were in the deprivation stage, that ghrelin hormone went up, so they were really hungry, and the leptin hormone, your fullness hormone, went down. So they were more hungry and less full, and the cravings were just sky high, and they weren't for spinach and broccoli and carrots, unfortunately.
Only if we only crave those things. Wouldn't that be great?
A nutritionist dream, for sure.
I always say that. When you get cravings, it's never for celery,
I know, and I wish. But when we do eat healthfully on a good eating plan and we get our sleep, then healthy foods do make you feel good and you feel satisfied after you eat them, and you just don't have cravings. You get hungry, then you eat, and it's a much more natural way of being. When we're deprived, it really can kick things out of whack, and it can make it really tough if you're trying to lose weight, because beating those cravings can be very tough.
Absolutely.
And then what can happen too is that if it becomes a cycle and we gain weight over time, we're not getting enough sleep. Obesity is associated with sleep apnea, also known as sleep disordered breathing. And once we get into that, that can be a vicious cycle where now we're overweight, we can't lose weight, then the cravings go up because that ghrelin went up. So we're hungry, we eat, then we can't sleep, and it can be really troublesome.
It's a cycle. Yeah.
It is. It's a cycle, and it can be hard to get out of. If you find that or your listener, if your listeners find that they are having trouble, sometimes your spouse or partner can tell because you're snoring a lot, and not that snoring is always sleep apnea, but it
Right.
can be. And then the CPAP machine can help. And that, I don't think it's a life sentence to wear that, but it can get you out of this vicious cycle where you're gaining weight and craving. But the
Yes.
cravings can go down for
A
sure.
lot. Yeah, my mom has one of those and it has helped her a lot. And my husband snores. He
Oh,
doesn't have sleep
good.
apnea. I just give him one of these and, that usually helps. Just punch in the arm always works. It never wakes him up. It just makes him stop snoring. But, and I always remember the word ghrelin because it sounds like growl, because when you are hungry, your stomach is growling. So I always remember that, that's that hormone, and it doesn't sound like it sounds bad, ghrelin,
Right.
That's how I always remembered it. So are there any specific eating plans that we should go on or try to focus on any types of foods to help sleep better?
The Mediterranean diet is associated with less insomnia. So that may be a really good way of thinking about eating. And it's one of the diets that lends itself to longevity. And then the foods that you eat on the Mediterranean way, those foods help to assist with sleep. So we're talking about your vegetables and fruits and nuts and seeds. And there's so many, and beans, there's so many micronutrients in beans, nuts, and seeds that really do fuel sleep. So if you move toward a more plant-based diet, and I never tell anyone they have to become a vegetarian. I'm not a vegetarian,
No.
but I lean heavily plant-based because of what the research bears out. But the Mediterranean way is a really nice way of thinking. And just think of you see in the background here, for those that can see the video, I have a rainbow poster, and it's just to remind people to eat the rainbow, eat lots of different colors of fruits and vegetables.
I know.
And
You think about like food that's not so great for you. It's usually white. It's usually just bland. And the rainbow is all fruits, vegetables, all really great
Yeah.
food for you. And that's really terrific. It's important to put that into your diet. And I think, if I'm correct, you're the expert on this, that most adults do not get enough fruits and vegetables. Am I right about that?
90% of the U.S. people in the U.S. are not getting enough vegetables. 90%.
That's a lot.
It's
And
a
you can
lot.
sneak it into a smoothie. There's ways to sneak that. And I can't even believe that because I eat fruit and vegetables all the time. But I guess in our American diet, fast food and French fries don't count. I'm sorry. They don't count. People pick things up on the run, especially now we're getting things delivered to our house and that sort of thing. But I also found, I have to say this, during this whole COVID craziness, that I began to cook more. And I was never a great cook, but I'm a pretty basic, simple cook. But I have learned that controlling what you eat is such a key to controlling your weight. I've actually lost weight during this because I haven't gone out to eat as much. That's probably where it gets me the most. And so when you actually can control a lot of what you eat, maybe if you start going back to work now, bring a lunch, or at least bring a lunch a few days a week. You know what's in it if you made it. And I always think that's a big key, because when we go out to eat, they don't care. They want it to taste good. So they're going to throw butter and they're going to throw everything in it and give you huge portions, because that's what we want. And, heck with it. We just go for it when we go out. And that could be a problem.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, all the stuff. I consulted with a few restaurants over the years, and I've been in the kitchens, so I've seen what goes in, and the chefs are artists. They want it to taste wonderful,
Yeah.
and they do. I
Yes.
remember seeing a risotto being made, and I couldn't believe all the sugar, the cream, and the salt, and they kept adding it, and they would taste it to see, and they're like, no, it's not good enough
More
yet.
sugar.
Yeah, more salt, more cream. And they kept doing that. And then finally they pointed at me and they said, "You, come here, taste this." And I did. And it was the best risotto I've ever had.
Sure.
But you would never know, on the other side of the wall where all the guests were eating, they would never know how much salt and butter and cream was put into this. But it really tasted magnificent.
Yeah,
And at
of course
home,
it did.
you would never think to put that much in because it just doesn't seem right. But at the restaurants, they do. So you really hit the nail on the target with just eating more. The more you can eat at home is great. And many people, the way their parents made vegetables when they were younger, turned them off of vegetables. I remember the blocks of spinach, the frozen square blocks. Awful.
I know.
Awful.
Or the TV dinners with the little things of peaches that have tons of sugar and the syrup in there. That was not the way to eat your vegetables, right?
Yeah.
People may not think that your nutrition and your sleep patterns actually work together. So that's really important. If you want to try to fix one, you really should be focusing on the other as well. And talk to me a little bit more about the Mediterranean diet. That's really one of my favorite ways to eat. And I think it's a very healthy type of a diet. There's so many different ones out there. But to me, this is well-rounded.
Yeah, it's super healthy. And when you do eat the Mediterranean way, you want to think about getting a variety in so that you vary your greens, you vary your vegetables, you vary your fruits. So if you get into the habit of, eat an apple and a banana every day, and that's great because many people aren't even doing that.
Right.
We want to start switching that up. Can you get cherries in? Can you get berries in? Tart cherries have natural melatonin, and that can help you to sleep. So that's something to think about. And things taste better when we start getting more variety too. And then for vegetables, what vegetables are you eating and can you expand that? And the time when we're at home more, like you mentioned, you're cooking more, it's a great time to experiment. My new favorite is red cabbage. I just had some with lunch.
I just made that too. That's so good.
Did you?
It's delicious, isn't it?
It's delicious.
It is.
We cook it up in different ways, but we kind of just keep it easy. Chop it up. We chop it up with the onions. We throw a few seasonings on it. You can just put like Italian seasoning and then put it in your oven and roast. And it's so delicious. And then the leftovers are good. I didn't even have to heat it. It was just so good cold as
It's
like
good.
a cold salad.
I made it myself. Everything's purple. Your dish is purple.
Yes.
I know. It's pretty. It's actually a pretty vegetable. But I just made it.
It is.
I love it. I think it's good.
great.
I was never a big cabbage person, but I'm trying to eat a little bit more of that as well as fermented foods, sauerkraut and things like that. We all know
Yes.
that's good for the gut health, which is another topic in and of itself. But you mentioned melatonin. Do you recommend that?
I don't recommend supplements. I think that it's important to work with a doctor, with an MD, someone who has a specialty in sleep to really help figure out how much is right for you. The supplements in our country aren't regulated very well, and many people don't need them. When people come to me and sleep is a part of the problem, I go through and look at how they're eating, and more often than not, it's the caffeine that's the problem. And they've probably heard before, cut your caffeine off at 2. And that can work for some people, but not everyone. Some people need to cut it off at 12. And when I work with people, I do this, especially if they love their coffee. Try to cut it off at 12. If they still can't sleep, try to cut it off at 10 and see how it works for a few weeks. If
You're
that
asking
doesn't
a
work,
lot. You're asking a lot.
I know. But I discovered it the hard way. I had insomnia for a year when I did my dietetic internship, and I started taking over-the-counter pills at night, sleep pills at night. And then I would go to work groggy, then I would drink caffeinated tea all day. And then I would fall asleep at night at dinner with friends, fall asleep at the movies. This went on for a year. And then I went to a health spa and this was in 1996. It was no dairy, no animal food, no salt, no sugar, no caffeine, no alcohol, like the modern detox.
Yes.
And I didn't know before I went because I saw an ad in Shape magazine that was this small that said, come to this lovely health spa. And it was the only thing I could afford on a credit card when I had no money. And after a few days, I was sleeping like a baby. I did get a couple of headaches, but they went away. And then I realized I'm sensitive to caffeine. And many people, just any caffeine, a little bit, doesn't work well with them. And not everyone, but different people are sensitive to it. So you might want to, before you decide to take supplements, try to look at your diet. Are you drinking a lot of coffee or tea, having cocoa, or even soda that may have added caffeine?
Yes, there's a lot in your food as well, and people don't think about that. And I know, and they say really coffee is not that bad for you. And I always joke, I have 1 cup, but it's like about 16 ounces of coffee in the morning. That is my one thing. That's non-negotiable. I got to have my coffee, but I try not to drink it, as you said, going into the afternoon because it will keep me up at night. So that's something to just cut down a little bit, or just try not to drink it after a certain hour. And you play with it and see how your body takes to it. But are there certain things that you would say someone could just start doing right now if they wanted to just get back on a better sleep pattern and a better nutrition plan, just in general?
In general, a better nutrition plan, a better sleep plan would be going to bed at the same time each night, aiming for 7 to 9 hours of sleep. 7 to 8, once we're in the 60s and above, 7 to 8 hours a night is good to aim for. And I would say with your diet, a diversity of plants. So a healthier microbiome. So that's we touched on it. You mentioned
the gut
it.
Health.
The gut health is associated with better sleep. So what makes for better intestines? Natural foods and a lot of plants, so a lot of fiber. And then really to decrease the additives and preservatives, the artificial colors, all the junk that you can't on the label when you look at it. If you can't read it, just don't eat it.
Right. If you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. Right.
Don't eat it. And yeah, that's it's so true. So make sure you comb through the labels, and then more plants, less sugar, more beans in the diet. So beans have things like copper in it, and a deficiency of copper and also deficiency of zinc is associated with not getting great sleep. So if we get things like nuts and seeds and beans, whole grains, leafy greens, then we're really getting a lot of our nutrient needs met.
Do you recommend a multivitamin or no?
I think that if someone has a really lousy diet, that could be good insurance. But I feel that if you eat from all the food groups, and I developed in my book a plate that has half your plate vegetables, a quarter of your plate whole grains or potato, a quarter of your plate protein like fish and beans, and then fruit. And I recommend 3 fruits a day to help protect your eyesight, your immune system, to help protect against cancer. And then healthy fats in your diet like nuts and seeds and avocado and extra virgin olive oil. If we incorporate all of these, you're really going to be getting in those nutrients that you need. Now, if you don't get fish has an essential fat in it, your omega-3 fats. If you don't eat fish, then you want to be getting walnuts, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds, organic canola oil. These products have omega-3s. They're plant sources of omega-3, but those are essential that some people don't know that they're essential. We need to get those in.
Well, that's a good tip. So if you're not eating the fish, you should be getting them from another source. And I just think this information is so vital, because when you don't get enough sleep, we all know what that feels like. You can't think straight. You walk around in a grog. You're just not yourself. It just makes you miserable. And it's just so bad for your health overall in general.
It's so bad. It's even bad for your immune system. And there's research that has found that a lack of sleep can make vaccines less effective. Now, I haven't seen anything about sleep and the COVID vaccines yet, but they've just come out. But we know that vaccines in general can be less effective if we're not getting our sleep, and sleep affects your immune system. So, and stress does too. So if you don't get enough sleep and you're stressed, the cortisol goes up, and that's not good for your immune system. And that also deposits, we probably, a lot of your listeners probably have heard the belly fat from too much cortisol. So the stress and lack of sleep can contribute to that.
Oh, and there's no reason for any of us to be stressed right now at all, right? Oh. There's nothing going on in our world right now. So it's a tall order, but there are some things we can do. And I talk a lot about that because I'm a big person on mental health being part of our overall health, our physical and mental health, we're all one. That's a big thing to me. And so you really need to take steps to do some things you like to do, have some fun, you know, take a bath, do whatever, take a nap, read a book, whatever it is, take a walk, find something that's an outlet for you, because we do have a lot of stress in our lives. And it's really, really important. And a lot of times I find with women, especially moms, they put off their own health because they're taking care of their kids. And they always say, you know, in the air, and when you're on an airplane and that oxygen mask comes down, put it on yourself first, because if you're not taking care of yourself and doing what you're supposed to do for you, how can you do that for other people? So you really need to make time for yourself, even if it's just carve out a half an hour a day, but everyone needs to do that to be there for their family.
That is so true. And one of the things along those lines that I think is helpful for sleep and for your stress, meditation. And an app that I recommend is Insight Timer, because you don't have to do anything. You just pull up a meditation and you sit there and listen to it. And you can meditate, and there's one called Mind Vacation, which can take you to the beach.
Oh,
and
I like that.
Yeah.
I'd rather actually be on the beach, but we live near the beach, so that's good. No, but I love that. And, you know, when I've done things on meditation too, but people often think of it as like you're sitting on the top of a mountain cross-legged, and you can meditate at your desk in your office. You don't need to do all that. You don't have to be like a guru with long hair. It can be done anywhere. And that's really, and it's just like a mind release. It's just a great way to just let it, you can listen to music. I mean, people do it in different ways. It's just a way to try to, you know, unwind and de-stress. So really, really great tips. Tell us again the name of your book, Tricia.
Sure. The name of my book.
You have it there.
Over here is Healthy Dividends, Investments in Nutrition, Movement, and Healthy Habits That Pay Off. It's a helpful guide for people looking to get healthier, to live longer. Lots of nutrition tips in there.
I love it. And you can get that on Amazon, right? Of course,
yes.
Where we get everything. Well, thank you so much, Tricia Silverman,
so much.
registered dietitian. You have been awesome. And I will put a link to your website in the show notes. Thanks to all of you for joining me today for Living Well with Robin Stoloff, empowering you to live a healthier life. Check out the video of this podcast on my website, livingwellwithrobinstoloff.com. And please be sure to subscribe to get a notification on our most recent episode. Thanks again for being here. Until next time, please stay safe and keep living well.